Hello, everybody. This is Finch Fulton, the Vice President of Policy and Strategy at Locomation. We are an American autonomous truck technology company based out of Pittsburgh. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to give you an update on what Locomation's got going on for those that may not be as familiar with us. So first of all, we have generations of experience in robotics and automated vehicles, from everything from off-road military convoys to the DARPA challenges to the Mars rover itself. With over 100 years of experience, our founders had significant understanding of the field, and so thought about things a little bit differently from the peak of the hype cycle. So first of all, fundamentally, they looked at the market and said, level 4 fully driverless trucks or vehicles are not commercially viable for trucking anytime in the near future. And so fundamentally, they had a different approach to how they were going to address the challenges. Also, they didn't look at robotaxis as the best market. They looked at autonomous trucking for a number of reasons. So if you have an approach and you have a market, then you have to make sure you address the actual pain points of the customer. And what are those? First of all, there's huge problems with inefficiency in our trucking system and lack of capacity, high costs with things like labor or fuel prices, and low margins for the carriers themselves. Driver quality of life is a huge challenge. It's the 4th most dangerous job in the country, but also it's in the top 5 in terms of suicide rates for any profession in the US. And that's because of the inefficiencies in the system, which are borne primarily by the truck drivers themselves, driving down their quality of life and ultimately leading them to leave the industry with over 100% turnover rate for many of the major trucking companies. And then, of course, you have the high carbon emissions and concerns with fuel burn and the amount that fuel costs. So when you look at this, you have a great market and a great opportunity, but you have to take a pragmatic approach to this market. So first of all, we have an approach to autonomous trucking that is deterministic. We aren't relying on any scientific breakthroughs to be able to solve for full autonomy. That means we understand the approach to safety, understand what it takes to be able to prove that safety, and so we have a realistic deployment schedule. Fundamentally, we're different because we have a human-led 2-truck linked convoy, which is far more practical and leaves the human in charge with the trained driver using their common sense and experience to be able to handle the roadway situations, not an autonomous system that has to do pattern matching that may not have seen a situation yet and so won't react appropriately. And lastly, because we have a human in charge of the convoy at all times, we have no federal regulatory barriers, which will enable us to deploy in a commercially viable fashion across the country. So what does it take to make an autonomous trucking operation that's actually successful and brings actual benefits to your customers? First, you have to split the local activities from the long haul activities. This is how you can make sure that you take those inefficiencies that exist in the system and handle those on a local level while allowing your autonomous truck to run nearly continuously, which is where the majority of the value is found in trucking, not from removing the human driver. Next, you have to actually combine the technology to let a human drive a 2-truck linked convoy using a number of automated vehicle technologies, as well as some platooning technologies that have existed for decades. And then, of course, you have to be able to do the organizational approach to make sure that you combine the human drivers, the trucks, and the cargo to be able to run those trucks nearly continuously. But this approach lets us go nearly 1,000 miles a day while still getting the human driver back home every night. That's a significant advantage. And we do it, again, by simplifying the problem. Our following vehicle is operating autonomously, but at a very basic level, it's just following the leader. And so this allows very precise abilities to navigate work zones, to navigate on-road, real-world road situations, and to do very basic things like coordinated stopping, starting, and lane changing. So as you look at this and the policy outcomes that this approach brings, of course, you can go twice as far, twice as fast, delivering twice as much while still getting the drivers home every day, but also driving significant reductions in fuel emissions, greenhouse gases, and of course, overall operating costs, which is why carriers are so interested in this model. And we have proof that this realistic, pragmatic approach actually works for customers. We're the only autonomous truck technology company that has real customers for real contracts, delivering real trucks on real timelines, which puts us in a significant position of real advantage as we get to these on-road deployments. And ultimately, we're in an exciting time because we are on track to be the first autonomous truck technology company to be deploying safely, legally, and profitably in commercial long-haul operations at scale across the United States. So thank you for being here with us today so you can get a glimpse of the future delivered today.